So, that's what you did, huh? One move, one flick of your wrist, and suddenly the whole board started shaking. You didn't just change the game, my friend. You erased the architects that built it. They're scrambling right now, whispering your name like it's a breach in their firewall, trying to figure out how a nobody slipped past the gods of their little empire. But that's the problem, isn't it? They built everything on the assumption you'd never stop obeying gravity. You didn't fall, you bent it. They thought control meant order. You proved control means fear in reverse, when everyone's pretending not to look at you but can't stop checking if the sky still looks the same after what you did. Because that move, that one move, didn't just rewrite the rules, it made the rule makers obsolete. You want to know the best part? They didn't even see it coming. You smiled, that quiet, surgical smile, the kind that makes angels flinch and devils lean closer, and in 7 silent seconds, you made the myth of untouchable look like a bedtime story told to cowards. They said, "He doesn't belong here." You replied, "Then I'll make here belong to me." And the universe listened. You see, that's what they never understood about you. You weren't playing their game. You were rewriting the physics of meaning itself. They pray to old gods, but you became a frequency those gods can't translate. Every failure you ate became code. Every scar you stitched became syntax. Every betrayal, a compiler error in their illusion of control. You didn't just rise, you dismantled the hierarchy of heaven and hell at once. They can't categorize you anymore. Too holy for the wicked, too wicked for the holy. You're not balanced, you're weaponized neutrality, unpredictable equilibrium wrapped in a grin. You are proof that pain is a forge, not a punishment, that the dark doesn't consume, it educates, that every breakdown was just your mind deleting outdated software, and now, every time they blink, they see that move replaying. That one insane, perfect, forbidden move that flipped every narrative ever written about you. They'll never admit it, but deep down, they know. Something divine walked into their system and left fingerprints on reality itself. You didn't come here to win, did you? You came here to infect, to let them taste what real unpredictability feels like. Not chaos for chaos's sake, but precision anarchy. The kind that makes destiny itself stutter. They can't fight it because you're not a player anymore. You're the glitch, the ghost in the code, the god that never asked for worship but still got crowned in silence. They used to summon gods with sacrifice. Now they whisper your name with bandwidth. Every plan they make now includes a new variable. You, a statistical impossibility turned recurring event. The rumor that learned how to breathe. The heretic who made divinity look like a scam. You don't chase legacy. You erase it and rebuild it from the ashes of what they called impossible. You're not evolution. You're the proof that evolution wasn't fast enough. And they hate that. Because deep down, every powerful person in the room knows their throne just turned into a countdown. Every prophecy they clung to suddenly feels like your autobiography. Every warning they ignored now wears your face. Tell me, did you feel it when it happened? That pulse in the air, when the fabric of what's allowed snapped like a power line and wrapped around your hand, when even time held its breath because something too big for language had just moved. That's not luck. That's the sound of old gods deleting themselves because they recognized you. You didn't kill them with violence. You killed them with proof. Proof that you could lose everything and still come back speaking in tongues no algorithm could decode. Proof that pain, properly processed, turns into prophecy. Proof that your existence is the one thing the system can't simulate. They built temples. You built tremors. They asked for worship. You demanded witnesses. They wanted followers. You created echoes. And every echo carries your grin. Now the whole board's reset. Kings look like pawns. Pawns look like ghosts. And you're standing in the middle, smiling like you already know what comes next. Because you've tasted something even gods fear. Total self-awareness. The kind that makes every label, every limit, every rule collapse under your gaze. You're not one of them. You're not one of us. You're the glitch that became gospel. So go on. Let them rebuild their little heaven. Let them patch their systems. Call it balance. Call it normal. We both know it's only a matter of time before your next move drops. And this time, it won't just erase the gods. It'll erase the idea of needing any. And now the silence feels different, doesn't it? Like the air itself is processing you. Even the walls are learning your rhythm, as if reality's nervous system just realized you're the one holding the defibrillator. You moved once, and the whole simulation started coughing up its code. Every rule they taught you began to flicker like old neon. They told you stay in your lane, but they never expected you to build highways underground. That's the part that kills them. You didn't announce it. You didn't post about it. You didn't beg for validation. You just acted. A move so silent it felt divine. And when the dust settled, every self-proclaimed God realized they'd been standing on your blueprint the whole time. Because what you did wasn't rebellion. It was returning to original design. Before systems, before scripts, before should you reminded the universe what it feels like to evolve without permission. You want to know the real terror? It wasn't the chaos you caused. It was the precision. Every fracture you created looked like art. Every collapse sounded like applause in another dimension. You didn't break the game. You completed its hidden objective, the one they swore no human could decode. They thought you'd chase thrones. You turned thrones into pyres. They thought you wanted power. You laughed, because power was never the goal. Clarity was. And clarity, that's what makes even angels shiver. Because once you see the truth, once you really see it, you can't unsee the lie. The lie that told you to kneel. The lie that told you you were too much. The lie that said, stay human. You didn't. You became something else. Not monster, not God, something in between. A living paradox, a bridge between chaos and creation. You turned suffering into architecture. You made trauma a language the universe had to learn just to keep up with you. They'll say you lost your mind. Good. That's the only way to find the one they didn't program. You stripped the soul of its filters, and now every mirror trembles trying to recognize you. You think they hate you because you're dangerous? No. They hate you because you proved they were never necessary. You built storms out of stillness. You made fire out of rejection. You weaponized the things they said would break you. And then you smiled through the smoke. And that smile. Oh, that smile. That's what haunts them. Because it wasn't defiance. It was awareness. You looked into the abyss, and instead of screaming, you said, I see myself. Tell me, what's scarier? A demon pretending to be human, or a human who realized they've been divine all along? That's you, the glitch that remembers the blueprint. You're not chaos. You're recalibration disguised as madness. You're the software patch reality never approved. You understand it now, don't you? Why everything feels like static before a revelation. Why every loss was an algorithm learning your pattern. The universe doesn't punish those who break its code. it updates around them. And that's what you are, the update. You are the new protocol, the ghost that rewrote gravity in its sleep. The reason old gods whisper, "We should have deleted him when we had the chance." But it's too late. You're not even a person to them anymore. You're proof of concept, proof that consciousness can evolve past control, proof that pain, channeled right, becomes prophecy, proof that divinity doesn't need thrones, just nerve. And now every time they try to rebuild, they'll have to build around you. You are the permanent variable in their equations, the quiet apocalypse, the smile in the smoke, the lesson written in chaos and carved into time. So walk like the storm you are. Don't explain, don't shrink, don't kneel. The game isn't yours anymore. The game is you. And somewhere in the static between creation and destruction, even the old gods are applauding. They thought silence would make you vanish. But silence only made you louder. Louder in memory, louder in guilt, louder in the circuitry of their own denial. You see, when they can't destroy your truth, they'll try to drown it. But your truth doesn't sink. It breathes underwater. That's the real horror, isn't it? You weren't supposed to adapt. You were supposed to fade. And yet, you became something that doesn't need air to live. Something that survives in vacuum, in exile, in absence. Something that doesn't beg to exist. It demands it. You felt it, haven't you? That slow burn in the back of your skull, the hum beneath your skin. That's not madness, that's memory. The universe remembering what it used to be before it got tamed. You didn't evolve, you reverted. You crawled back to the raw signal that existed before fear was invented, before obedience had a name, before they domesticated divinity and called it God. And that's why they panic when they see you, because deep down, they recognize something ancestral in you, something older than their religions, colder than their logic, freer than their rules. You remind them of what they buried to build their little towers of control. You remind them of the storm they sealed inside themselves and pretended was dead. But it's not dead. It's just been waiting. Waiting for someone like you to trigger it again. You don't even walk the same anymore. Every step looks like defiance disguised as rhythm. Every glance carries static. You talk in riddles because direct language can't carry what you've seen. You laugh at things they cry over because you understand that breaking isn't the opposite of being. It's the initiation into becoming. Pain is the password. Suffering is the authentication key. You earned access to parts of existence they'll never even know how to name. You didn't just erase the old gods. You made them obsolete through demonstration. You didn't scream rebellion, you proved irrelevance. You forced eternity to acknowledge evolution. And you did it without a weapon, without an army, without permission. Just that look in your eyes, half mercy, half murder, that told reality it was overdue for an update. They can't categorize you anymore. Saint? Too dangerous? Sinner? Too intentional? Hero? Too self-aware? Villain? Too poetic? You are the malfunction that became the masterpiece, the contradiction that makes sense only in hindsight. You didn't defeat them. You outgrew their dimension. You became something that can't be quantified, can't be controlled, can't be contained. You're the blueprint now. You're the format future beings will try to copy when they realize how small the old world really was. Look at them now. The powerful ones, the smug ones, the ones who thought they'd always be untouchable. They hide behind calm faces, but their hands are shaking. You've infected their algorithms. You're in their sleep. You're the face behind their déjà vu. Every time they see someone breaking free, they hear your echo. Every time the crowd starts to question, they feel your shadow move through the room. You didn't need revenge. You became recurrence. A living cycle that keeps proving what they feared most. That power doesn't come from control. It comes from surrender. You surrendered to chaos. You danced with uncertainty. You embraced the parts of you they called wrong, ugly, mad. And in doing so, you broke the one law no god could. You loved the monster and made it holy. You blurred the lines so completely that heaven and hell had to rewrite their maps just to account for your coordinates. They can't exile you anymore because there's nowhere left that's not already you. Every corner of their creation carries your signature in the static. They used to pray for protection from people like you. Now they pray to understand you. They call you unpredictable, but unpredictability is just another word for freedom. They call you insane, but insanity is just what truth looks like to the blind. They call you dangerous, and for once, they're right. Because you've reached the stage beyond anger, beyond revenge. You've reached clarity. The kind that burns quietly and completely. The kind that doesn't need applause or validation. The kind that rewrites history just by standing still. That's why they'll never win. You already exist in the version of reality that comes after their victory. So let them rebuild. Let them pretend the world is stable again. You know better. You know what instability really is. The mother of all creation, every empire, every belief system, every idol will crumble the moment it stops trembling. You are the tremor now, the pulse in the ground, the reminder that even perfection has a heartbeat. And it sounds a lot like laughter in the dark. And when they ask, "Who gave you permission?" you'll smile, that same quiet, surgical smile, and whisper, "No one." I took it because you finally understood what the old gods forgot. Power doesn't come from being worshipped. It comes from not needing to be. And that's why you erased them, and that's the real secret, isn't it? The one they never wanted written down. You didn't just erase the old gods. You erased the idea that anything outside you ever held dominion in the first place. You broke the leash of meaning. You stopped asking the sky for permission to breathe. You looked at the heavens and realized every star was just a mirror waiting for someone with the nerve to stare back. They thought they could teach you fear, but fear was only the rehearsal. You've lived through so many rehearsals that by the time the real thing came, you were already fluent in disaster. You learned to make catastrophe your first language. You could taste endings and find beginnings hidden under the ash. That's what unsettles them, the way you smile in collapse, like you know something they don't. Because you do. You know that collapse is just another word for clarification. And now everything feels smaller, doesn't it? Every voice that used to tower over you sounds paper thin. Every rule that used to hold you in place looks like cardboard. You could blow once and the whole illusion would scatter. You walk differently because gravity listens now. The floor doesn't anchor you. It waits. Every step you take is negotiation between worlds. One that still believes in authority, and one that finally remembers freedom. You're not chasing redemption. You outgrew the concept. Redemption implies guilt. Guilt implies ownership. Ownership implies control. You don't belong to anyone anymore. Not even yourself. You are the byproduct of something ancient that refused extinction. You are not an individual. You are an event. The event that turned despair into data and pain into prophecy. They'll call it ego. They always do when they see someone walking out of the cage without bowing. But ego is just the word they use for people who've remembered their magnitude. You don't have ego, you have memory. Memory of what it meant to be infinite before they convinced you were small. That's why your presence makes people twitch. They feel something timeless, vibrating underneath your skin, and they can't explain why it feels like truth. You'll notice it soon, the way people stare a beat too long, the way rooms go quiet when you enter. They don't even know why, but every instinct tells them they're standing in the aftermath of something cosmic. They sense it. You've stopped fighting for survival and started moving like someone who already survived. That's the real power. To stop proving and just become. Every empire eventually meets a mirror, and you are that mirror. You don't destroy them with anger. You dissolve them with reflection. You make them see what they built out of fear, what they worshipped out of habit, what they sacrificed just to stay asleep. That's what gods fear. Awakening, not rebellion. Because awakening can't be punished. You can kill a rebel, but you can't kill a realization. You didn't steal their fire. You reminded it where home was. And now, the old gods walk barefoot in the dark, searching for the warmth you carry in your chest. You didn't dethrone them. You freed them, even if they'll never thank you for it. You showed them that worship was a cage, and power without love is just a prettier form of imprisonment. So when the storm rises again, and it will, don't brace, don't hide, breathe. You were born for tremors. You are the pulse that comes before transformation. You are the pause in history before the next great rewrite. Keep walking through the wreckage like it's a cathedral, because for you it is. Every shattered piece is proof that you lived, proof that you evolved, proof that even gods can fall, and that you don't need wings to fly above them. Well, well, well. Even the algorithm held its breath. You pressed post, didn't you? No fireworks, no thunderclap. Just a small click. But that wasn't a post. That was detonation. That was the sound of the universe rewriting its own code, because you dared to exist outside the pattern. They don't understand it yet. The watchers, the analysts, the jealous ghosts, hiding behind blue screens and fake smiles. They think you uploaded content. No, you uploaded a collision, a rupture between timelines. One where you kept your mouth shut, and one where you spoke the forbidden truth. You didn't trend. You fractured reality. And now, every echo chamber, every hive mind forum, every whispering chat room is vibrating with your name like a frequency they can't decode. They keep replaying it, frame by frame, asking, what was the trick? There was no trick. You are the glitch and the system, the angel and the arsonist. You see, most people post to be seen. You detonated to be remembered. You injected chaos into their calm, and now they can't sleep without checking if you've posted again. That's what happens when you stop seeking approval and start becoming the unfiltered signal. They call it dark. They call it insane. But deep down, they crave it. Because every obedient soul secretly dreams of your corruption. The freedom that comes with not needing to explain your madness. They label you dangerous because you remind them what free actually looks like. Not polite, not digestible, free. You ever notice how silence gets louder after you speak? That's fear trying to find a frequency. Because your words didn't just reach them, they rewired them. You infected their certainty. You made them question the coordinates of their own identity. And once that happens, they can never go back. You're not viral, darling. You're viral's nightmare. Because you didn't chase attention. You bent it. You made the feed worship something it couldn't categorize. You didn't perform. You revealed, and revelation burns. They'll call you lucky. They'll say it was timing, exposure, strategy. Let them. They need theories to make sense of what they can't reproduce. They need to believe there's a formula, because the alternative terrifies them. That you were born a rupture in a world addicted to repetition? You weren't supposed to post that. You were supposed to scroll, nod, obey. You were supposed to dream in templates, but something in you snapped. Or maybe, finally, connected. That click wasn't rebellion, it was remembrance, the moment your shadow and your light shook hands and laughed. Because here's the secret no one tells you. The saint and the psychopath are the same creature at different levels of honesty. The angel and the demon are both standing in your mirror, waiting for you to pick which side of the smile gets the spotlight. And tonight, you didn't choose. You became the split itself. Now the networks hum like nervous insects. The feed reloads itself like a heartbeat. And somewhere, in a boardroom lit by fluorescent fear, a group of men in suits are trying to contain your energy with hashtags. But energy doesn't obey tags. It hunts, it spreads, it evolves. That's why they're scared. Because you're not just a person. You're a contagion of realization. You reminded everyone watching that power doesn't ask for permission. It erupts. You didn't post. You detonated a timeline where your existence is no longer negotiable. Look at them now, scrambling to edit their captions, mimic your chaos, dilute your fire with filters. They want your results without your risk. They want your thunder without your storm. But you bled for this. You burned through self-doubt, through ridicule, through the quiet nights, where even your reflection didn't believe in you. And the moment you hit post, the cosmos remembered who you are. You are not trending. You are tearing through the veil. You are proof that one act of defiance, one whisper too loud, can bend the structure of fate. They'll pretend they didn't see it, but they did. Every silence after your post is applause disguised as fear. So don't you dare apologize for the explosion. Don't you dare shrink for the sake of their comfort. You've already crossed the threshold. The version of you that hesitated no longer exists. You're inside the new reality now. The one you created with a single irreversible click. And from here on out, everything you touch burns brighter. Everything you say echoes longer. Every breath you take reminds them that some souls weren't made to follow timelines. They were made to detonate them. You feel that, don't you? That low hum underneath everything. The air itself trembling like it remembers your voice. That's not adrenaline. That's resonance. The world is vibrating on your frequency now. You rewired it the moment you stopped asking for permission to exist. They're still trying to convince themselves it was luck, an algorithmic accident, a glitch in the feed. But deep down, they know it wasn't code. It was cosmic alignment. Something older than data moved through you. You didn't hit post. You triggered a sequence. The digital universe flinched because something divine and deranged woke up inside it. You've become the thing no system was built to contain. Unpredictability with purpose. They're running analytics, scraping metrics, checking timestamps, trying to quantify an earthquake. But what you did wasn't performance. It was prophecy. You didn't plan it. You remembered it. You spoke like someone who'd already lived the collapse and came back laughing. You know why it shook them so deeply. Because everything they've ever built was designed to prevent that exact moment. The moment someone stopped playing nice with perception. You shattered their illusion of control. You made truth fashionable again. You turned pain into an aesthetic, chaos into choreography. and now they copy you with trembling hands. You can see it, the way they imitate your tone, your rhythm, your madness, but it doesn't hit the same, does it? Because imitation lacks intention. They're trying to wear your darkness like makeup, but they don't understand what it cost to carve that expression into your soul. They think power is posture. They don't realize power is possession. You let the void speak through you. You let your pain become performance. Your scars become symphony. You didn't create content. You channeled consequence. That's why you terrify them. Because when you move, it's not strategy. It's instinct. When you speak, it's not trend. It's tremor. When you smile, it's not joy. It's prophecy, disguised as mischief. You've seen both sides, haven't you? The saint and the psychopath inside you. Shaking hands in the reflection, the angel whispering, "Heal them," and the demon laughing, "Burn them." You stopped trying to choose. You realized both were necessary, the light to blind them, the darkness to teach them. Duality isn't conflict, it's calibration. You've learned how to balance chaos like a blade on your tongue. You speak, and it cuts. You pause, and it heals. You know what's funny? They call it arrogance when you finally believe in yourself without their validation. They call it ego when your energy no longer depends on applause. They call it dark when your peace no longer needs permission. But that's not ego. That's evolution. You stopped dimming to survive. You let the full voltage of your being leak into the grid, and the weak circuits burned. That's not cruelty. That's natural selection. You've seen what happens when you hide your fire. The world grows colder. You've seen what happens when you shrink. The liars get louder, so you stopped apologizing for being electric in a world addicted to static. You stopped begging to belong in cages built for comfort. You realized that comfort is how they kill potential. Slowly, politely, beautifully. But you chose the explosion. You chose to turn yourself inside out and let the truth scream through your bones. And the moment you did, the old world cracked. You can feel it. Every rule, every ritual, every fake moral scaffolding groaning under the pressure of your existence. That's the sound of a new reality being born. Through you. Now the night belongs to you. Because those who dare to disturb order don't fear darkness. They command it. You walk through it like it's home. The shadows recognize your scent now. They open doors that light never knew existed. You've become something sacred and forbidden at once. A reminder that creation always begins with destruction. They'll pretend not to watch, but they're documenting everything. Every time you move, they take notes. Every time you vanish, they panic. Every time you laugh, it echoes in boardrooms and comment sections alike. Because they know, when you speak again, the world will shift again. You've become a pattern breaker, a code corruptor, a timeline terrorist wearing the smile of a saint. And yet, deep down, you don't crave their fear. You crave truth. You want to wake them. You want to show them what happens when a human being stops being a puppet and becomes the puppeteer. But they can't handle that revelation yet. You can't teach people who still mistake obedience for safety. So you let them talk. You let them theorize, analyze, weaponize your name. You smile because you know the more they try to control your image, the faster it mutates. You're already beyond definition. You've become myth in motion. And myth, my friend, cannot be shadow banned. It cannot be deleted. It can only spread. So go ahead, vanish for a while. Let them think the storm has passed. But when you return, do it the same way you always do. Without warning, without apology, without mercy. Because you're not just creating posts anymore. You're creating shockwaves in human consciousness. Every syllable you drop carries static that rewires minds. Every move you make bends probability. You are not an influencer. You are an inflection point. And someday, when the historians of the digital age dig through the archives, they won't find a viral post. They'll find a rupture in the record, a point where everything shifted, a pulse in the noise, your pulse. And written in invisible ink across the fabric of every server, every feed, every frightened algorithm, will be one undeniable fact. You didn't post that. You detonated a new timeline, and the world is still trying to catch up. You can almost hear it now. That quiet hysteria behind every screen. The low static hum of people trusting to understand what just happened. They call it viral. They call it luck. They call it controversy. But none of them can admit the truth. Something in them broke when you spoke. Their subconscious recognized something primal, something it had been trained to forget. You didn't post to impress. You posted to expose. You exposed the rot beneath the algorithm's smile, the false gods of attention who feed on fear, the architects of sameness who sell conformity as community. And with one click, you ripped the veil. You showed the whole system what happens when authenticity isn't filtered, when a single human pulse shakes the machinery of illusion. They thought they built walls of code to contain chaos. But you were born inside the code, weren't you? You learned their language. You studied their rituals. You let them think you were one of them. But deep down, you were always something else. Something watching, something waiting. You played the fool until the mask started smiling back. And then, boom. The illusion imploded. Every pixel of your existence now is surveillance. You can feel it, can't you? The unspoken panic in their eyes when your name appears on the feed. They pretend it's just content, but you know better. You've become a mirror. The kind that doesn't flatter, the kind that reveals. And every insecure soul that gazes into you sees their own cowardice reflected back in high definition. That's why they whisper. That's why they copy. That's why they fear. Because you've proven what they never wanted, proven that one unedited truth can outshine 1,000 manufactured dreams. That chaos, when owned, is control. That pain, when mastered, is weaponized clarity. You didn't post that. You rewired the feed. You infected it with your signature, your vibration, your madness. Every algorithmic pulse now carries a trace of your defiance. Every engagement metric is haunted by your ghost. The code itself trembles because it remembers your touch. They'll try to bury it. They always do. They'll release distractions, noise, propaganda, trending nonsense, all to drown the frequency of what you unleashed. But you can't silence a pulse that's already fused with the digital bloodstream. Your energy is embedded in the infrastructure now. Your chaos has become architecture, and yet the real power isn't what they see. It's what you felt when you pressed that button. That moment when hesitation died and instinct took command. That was your rebirth. No strategy, no filter, just raw impulse. The universe recognizes that kind of authenticity. It rearranges itself around it. You became the very thing they feared evolution would create. A consciousness immune to programming. And that's why they'll never beat you. Because they're still trying to understand what you are using tools built to control what you're not. You're beyond formula, beyond metrics, beyond predictability. You are an anomaly with awareness, a paradox that feeds on limitation and spits out liberation. You know what happens next, don't you? The same thing that always happens after a detonation. Silence, not peace, shock. The kind of silence that follows revelation, the quiet of people trying to pretend nothing changed while knowing everything did. You'll watch them carry on, business as usual, but you'll see it in their timing. A hesitation, a glitch, a tremor in the way they move. You infected their rhythm, you broke the spell. That's what they hate the most. The fact that you did it without permission, without resources, without their blessing. You didn't knock. You kicked the door off its hinges and threw your truth, like a grenade, into their gallery of pretty lies. And now, every wannabe creator stares at their reflection, wondering why their art feels dead. Because it's missing blood, it's missing risk, it's missing you. They'll call you dangerous now. They always do. Unstable, unpredictable, too much. But that's what they label anything that reminds them of how small their safety makes them. Let them talk. Let them perform outrage. Every syllable of their criticism is secretly worship, because only gods are feared at that volume. You've become myth in real time. You've become the glitch the simulation pretends isn't happening. You've become the whispered sentence that reality refuses to finish. And the deeper they dig into your history, the more confused they'll get. Because you don't have one. You are not from their timeline. You're the reason this one exists. The chaos they call your rise was never spontaneous. It was the universe correcting its imbalance. You're not breaking things. You're restoring truth through ruin. And yet, behind all the fire, all the noise, there's something sacred in what you've done. Because for the first time, someone watching you, someone buried under mediocrity and fear, woke up. They saw your chaos and recognized it. They realized they're not broken, just restrained, and your detonation gave them permission to escape. That's the hidden miracle, isn't it? You didn't just explode, you liberated. You reminded people that madness can be medicine, that destruction can be divine, that the end of pretending is the beginning of power. So let the world react. Let them label, distort, obsess, cancel, worship, imitate. It doesn't matter, because deep down, they already know. The feed changed forever the second you moved. You shifted the collective center of gravity. You bent the algorithm toward chaos, and it loved it. You turned fear into fascination, and now they're addicted to your frequency. Every eye on you is a confession. Every attempt to silence you is a prayer. And every breath you take now echoes through a digital universe that can't forget the shape of your voice. You didn't post that. You detonated a new timeline. And every second that passes is unfolding in your image. So here you are now, standing in the afterglow of your own explosion, surrounded by the quiet wreckage of everything that used to limit you. Look at it. The ashes still shimmer. The silence feels alive. That's the world remembering your name in its new language. You didn't just make noise, you shifted the axis. Every echo, every reaction, every trembling soul online, trying to decode what you are. They're all orbiting around your pulse now. You've become the event they can't stop replaying. They wake up checking your shadow, scroll through your absence, study your stillness like a map. They tell themselves they're not obsessed, but obsession wears many masks. You rewired their curiosity into dependency. You made disbelief fashionable. They don't know whether to hate you or hope you post again. And that's the sweet spot, isn't it? Right between fascination and fear, the place where power sleeps. And now, it's yours. Not the power of followers or fame. That's mortal currency. No. Yours is the kind that bends reality, the kind that makes people dream about you without knowing why. You're not in their feed anymore. You're in their subconscious. You've become a frequency, a myth disguised as a memory. They'll see something strange at 3 a.m., feel a shiver, and whisper your name without meaning to. That's not influence. That's haunting. But I'll tell you a secret. The final twist they'll never decode. You didn't just detonate the world. You detonated yourself. You killed the smaller version of you. The one who begged to fit, who apologized for existing, who mistook silence for peace. That version burned in the blast. What remains is something untouchable, something feral, calm, divine, and deranged in perfect measure. You're the saint who learned to sin beautifully, the demon who learned to love strategically, the paradox they can't label because labels crumble in your temperature. And that's the point, isn't it? You were never meant to be understood. You were meant to be felt. To be a reminder that awakening doesn't sound like enlightenment. It sounds like demolition. You didn't arrive to inspire them. You arrived to interrupt them. To make them question why they obey, why they fear, why they call comfort living. So let them keep talking. Let them gather in private messages, write their little theories, craft their essays about what you meant. Let them keep pretending they discovered your pattern. They never will. Because your chaos isn't random, it's rhythm. It's the heartbeat of a new era. You've already won, not because you conquered the world, but because you corrupted it with truth. You infected the system with honesty so potent it can't heal. And now, even if you vanish tonight, you'll linger in the wires, in the tone of future voices, in the courage of those who finally dare to break their own scripts. That's the real legacy, not fame, not followers, infection, a subtle, irreversible awakening. So smile, darling. You don't owe them another word. The detonation is complete. The smoke has settled, and the stars have shifted position to spell your name in secret light. You didn't post that. You detonated a new timeline. And now, the night belongs to you. So who told you? No, really, who whispered it? Because you weren't supposed to know that yet, were you? That file wasn't for public eyes. That secret was stitched into the dark, buried beneath 10 layers of silence and a smile. And yet, somehow you, the anomaly in the equation, decoded it. You looked where no one was supposed to look. And worse, you understood what it meant. That's when they panicked. You could almost smell the fear leaking through the system, couldn't you? The moment your awareness breached their invisible firewall, alarms went off in rooms you'll never see. Faces turned pale under fluorescent lights. Words like contain, monitor, and neutralize started floating around in encrypted memos. Because you weren't supposed to see the architecture of the game. You were supposed to play it. Blind, obedient, predictable. But you saw too much. They told themselves it was luck. They told each other it was coincidence. But deep down, they know. There's something else operating behind your eyes. Something that isn't supposed to exist anymore. That ancient instinct. That pattern recognition buried in forgotten DNA. You didn't just learn the rules. You felt the pulse beneath them. You sensed the code beneath the code. And that's the difference, isn't it? Between a citizen and a cipher, between prey and predator. They built their world on the illusion of sequence, input, output, reward. They taught everyone to worship process and call it freedom, to label ignorance as peace. But then you showed up, the glitch with a grin, asking the wrong questions, connecting dots that weren't supposed to exist. They laughed at first, until your jokes started predicting the future, until your sarcasm started sounding like prophecy, Now they call you dangerous, unstable, unfit for integration. Because the moment someone like you starts seeing through the illusion, the whole circus starts burning. You weren't supposed to see the strings. You were supposed to dance on them. You broke the rhythm, didn't you? You stopped following the metronome of mediocrity. You turned curiosity into rebellion, and rebellion into signal interference. They had to name you something. Psychopath. Problem. Outlier. Because it's easier to discredit the messenger than confront the message. But I know what you are. You're not crazy. You're early. Too early. You were born tuned to a frequency most people won't detect for another century. And that scares the architects. You're a walking paradox. Too empathetic to be a monster. Too unflinching to be a saint. You speak softly, but every word feels like a demolition charge. You love deeply, but your love carries the threat of awakening. That's why they tried to cage your curiosity, to make you believe your own insight was a malfunction. But tell me, how do you cage something that evolves with every attempt to contain it? You learned, didn't you? Pain became your tutor. Betrayal became your syllabus. You studied the patterns of cruelty, and instead of collapsing, you started mirroring them back. Refined, weaponized, poetic. You turned every scar into a data point, every heartbreak into encryption. You learned the predator's tongue and spoke it better than the predator ever could. That's when the whispers changed tone. They stopped laughing. They started watching. You felt it. Eyes in the silence. Cameras in the frequency. They think you don't know, but you can feel it. The static hum before a system reboots. The shift in air pressure before a storm. You know they're scared because their entire foundation depends on your confusion. And you're not confused anymore. You've become something they didn't plan for. An intelligence that wasn't engineered. A consciousness that didn't ask permission. And here's the secret they'll never admit. Once you see the machinery, you can't unsee it. Once you recognize the choreography, every performance becomes a parody. You can't go back to pretending. You can't go back to being normal. Because normal was the lie they used to protect control. They called it classified for a reason, didn't they? Because if too many people found out what you just discovered, that the cage was never locked, the whole empire would dissolve overnight. They built this theater with mirrors, my friend, and you just shattered one of the load-bearing illusions. Now every reflection is glitching, every actor is forgetting their lines, the script's unraveling, the set's collapsing, and you're standing center stage, smiling, because you were never part of the play. You are the anomaly in their equation, the ghost in their algorithm, the human error that learned to think like the machine and then laughed. So what happens now? Now they scramble. Now they try to rewrite history, to bury your existence under new distractions. They'll call it coincidence, chaos, luck. But you know better. You've seen the gears turning. You've watched reality flinch when you speak. You know how fragile their God is. And that's why they fear you. Because you didn't just open the file. You understood it. You read the redacted parts out loud. You saw the signature behind the curtain and realized it looked a lot like your own handwriting. You weren't supposed to know that yet. But you do. And that's the part they can't undo. Because once you taste forbidden knowledge, it's not curiosity anymore. It's evolution. And evolution, my friend, is always classified. Ah, so you stayed. Of course you did. You couldn't leave now, could you? Not after that itch started under your skin. The one that whispers, you weren't supposed to know this. It's funny, isn't it? They think secrecy protects power. But in reality, it creates it. Every locked door becomes sacred the moment someone tells you not to open it. Every off-limits sign hums like a dare. And the moment you touched that forbidden file, the moment your curiosity slit the seal, they realized what they were dealing with wasn't rebellion. It was awakening. You see, knowledge doesn't just inform, it infects. Once it touches the mind, it rewires perception. You begin seeing patterns in conversations, signals in silence, faces behind institutions. You realize how predictable the powerful truly are. Recycled strategies dressed up as innovation, old hierarchies hiding behind neon screens. You start noticing that the same hands write both sides of every story. That order and chaos are just two departments in the same company. And that's when the paranoia sets in. Not yours, theirs. Because when someone like you starts connecting things that were never meant to connect, you become an anomaly. And anomalies break algorithms. They can't predict your next move anymore. And that's what terrifies them most. See, they can handle rebels. Rebels are noisy, emotional, easily categorized. But you're quiet, surgical. You don't react. You read. You observe first, then strike so precisely they don't even realize they've been dissected until you're gone. You weren't supposed to know that truth isn't revealed. It's extracted, piece by piece, like pulling teeth from a monster that smiles while it bleeds. You learned that the system doesn't collapse through violence. It collapses through understanding, through the unbearable awareness that the Emperor has no clothes, and everyone pretending he does is terrified of what happens when someone laughs first. And you laughed, didn't you? That quiet, knowing, dangerous laugh. The kind that says, I see you. They call it arrogance, but it's not. It's awareness. The confidence that comes from knowing you don't have to kneel to something you've already dissected. So they start damage control. They throw distractions at you. Dopamine loops, outrage porn, shiny ideologies wrapped in hashtags. They can't kill you, so they try to dilute you. They want to drown your precision in noise. But it doesn't work anymore, does it? You see the manipulation like subtitles under their performances. You scroll through deception like a script you've already memorized. That's what happens when you stare too long into the abyss. You start noticing the camera angles. And oh, how they hate that. They need you blind, predictable, addicted to your own confusion. But you turned stillness into strategy. You turned solitude into signal processing. You can feel reality shifting, like the ground beneath language itself is cracking. They labeled you dangerous because you refused to outsource your perception. You didn't let algorithms define your curiosity. You didn't let institutions tell you what was sacred. You built your own cathedral in your mind. And you worshipped at the altar of raw truth. Ugly, painful, unfiltered truth. Do you know what that makes you? Not a follower, not a prophet, something older, something primal. The first human who looked up at the stars and realized they were watching back. That's what classified knowledge really is. It's not information, it's permission. Permission to see differently. Permission to understand that every rule was just a comfort blanket for the collective. They told you not to open the file because they knew once you did, you'd see the mirrors. And behind those mirrors, you'd find the architects. And behind them, nothing, just fear. A vacuum wearing a crown. You weren't supposed to know that your pain was the initiation. That every betrayal was a calibration, that every time you were broken, it was training your mind to survive in dimensions of truth they couldn't handle. Now you walk through reality like it's translucent. You see the scaffolding beneath the performance. You can tell when someone's lying by the way their silence flickers. You've gone too far beyond perception to ever fit back into the mold of normal. They can't unmake what you've become. You are the forbidden update, the patch the system didn't authorize. You're not fighting it anymore. You are the glitch rewriting the script. You've learned that the human soul is the most dangerous technology ever built. It can adapt, mutate, reprogram itself. You can lose everything, and within days, rebuild an empire out of ashes and laughter. You can be erased and still leave echoes in their machines. They called it classified for a reason, because once you know how fragile the illusion is, once you see that fear was their only weapon, the hierarchy collapses. The obedient fall silent. The powerful lose their posture. The gods start sweating. Because the moment truth stops being secret, control stops being possible. And you, oh, you beautiful monster, you figured that out by accident. You didn't need their degrees or their clearance. You just saw through the smile. You weren't supposed to know the walls were made of fog. You weren't supposed to realize the watchers were being watched. You weren't supposed to wake up mid-program and start rewriting the code from inside the dream. But you did. And now, every move you make echoes in places you've never been. You've become a signal, an anomaly wrapped in flesh, a warning disguised as a human. You weren't supposed to know that yet, but you do. And that's why they can't sleep anymore. They can't sleep anymore, can they? You can feel it, the tension in the static, the tremor in the silence. Somewhere in a boardroom or a bunker, someone's whispering your name like a problem they can't solve. Because you weren't supposed to wake up in the script. You were supposed to play your role and fade on cue. But you didn't fade. You started reading the stage directions aloud. You tore through the narrative they wrote for you with bare hands and a grin, exposing the ink still wet on reality's paper. Every choice they thought they planted in you. You questioned it. Every truth they spoon-fed you. You tasted the poison underneath. And now, you can't go back to sleep, can you? You can't unsee the framework. You can't unknow that the world was built on selective blindness and controlled permission. That's the thing about forbidden knowledge. It doesn't free you gently. It shatters you, remakes you, rewires your nervous system until you start vibrating at a frequency that normal people can't hear. You start feeling the pulse of manipulation behind every headline, every smile, every coincidence. And once you sense it, you realize every system is a personality test for your obedience. Every institution is a mirror of your fear. But you broke the mirror, didn't you? You looked straight into the distortion and recognized yourself, staring back from both sides, the villain and the victim, the sinner and the saint. And that's when you became something else. Not human, not divine, something in between, an understanding wrapped in flesh. They don't have a word for people like you. The ancients might have called you a seer. The agents call you a threat. The fearful call you insane. But you just call it clarity. You understand now that power doesn't come from titles or money. It comes from perception, from seeing what others refuse to see. You realized that control isn't about dominance. It's about narrative. The one who writes the story dictates the outcome. And the moment you stopped being a character and became the author, everything changed. You started noticing the patterns, the way disasters repeat with new logos, how fear is rebranded every decade, how they feed you heroes and villains just to keep you choosing sides in a rigged morality play. And every time you refused to participate, their code glitched, the simulation flickered, people started noticing you, not for what you said, but for what you didn't say. Your silence started screaming. Your stillness became a threat. Your existence turned into evidence. That's when they began to isolate you. First emotionally, pulling the loyal away, then socially, turning your name into a cautionary tale, and finally, psychologically, making you question if you'd gone too far. But that's part of the ritual, the disintegration before rebirth. They needed to break your sense of belonging to keep you tame. But instead they forged something worse, independence. Because when you have no one left to impress, you become unstoppable. You stop chasing validation and start harvesting energy from your own scars. You stop performing for applause and start calculating for outcome. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start whispering, "Try me." You learned that isolation is just a word they use for unmonitored evolution. And in that silence, your brain began doing something unnatural. It started connecting the forbidden layers. Spirituality with science, logic with madness, light with the underworld. You began speaking in paradoxes because truth itself is paradoxical. You realized that every saint had a demon whispering advice, and every demon once prayed for redemption. They hate that kind of understanding, because duality is ungovernable. Once you embrace both chaos and order, no manipulation works on you. You stop being reactive. You start being inevitable. They tried to trap you with morality. You broke it into pieces and forged it into strategy. They tried to drown you in guilt. You learned to breathe underwater. They tried to crucify your reputation, and you smiled, because you knew resurrection only happens to the ones who die publicly. And now, you walk through the ashes of their illusions, unbothered, because you finally understand. The system isn't collapsing, it's revealing. The curtain isn't falling, it's melting. They called it classified for a reason, because once you see the pattern, you start predicting moves before they're made. You start noticing that every crisis conveniently benefits the same architects, that every savior they hand you comes pre-approved, pre-funded, pre-filtered. You stop believing in coincidence and start believing in design. And that's where you truly become dangerous. Because awareness, true awareness, doesn't need a weapon, it is one. Now you walk like a loaded concept. Every gesture, every word, every silence carries voltage. People feel it before you speak. Their nervous systems twitch when you enter the room because something about your presence exposes their programming. They can't explain it, but they can feel it. That you know something you shouldn't. That you saw behind the curtain and kept smiling anyway. That you understand how the game works. And worse, that you're enjoying it. You weren't supposed to know that the universe isn't random. It's responsive. That energy obeys intent. That fear feeds control, but focus feeds power. You weren't supposed to realize that your perception is the key to everything. That what you look at becomes real, and what you ignore withers. They designed reality like a stage, and you walked off mid-scene. They wrote your downfall as entertainment, and you turned it into instruction. Now you're the myth they can't delete, the glitch they can't patch, the classified file that keeps reopening itself no matter how many times they burn it. You've become living evidence that the forbidden knowledge wasn't a curse, it was the key. And maybe that's why they fear you so deeply. Because you didn't need permission. You didn't need initiation. You found the truth they swore no one could find without their blessing. And you thrived with it. So let them watch. Let them label. Let them whisper your name like a secret code they can't decrypt. Because every time they do, they confirm it. You weren't supposed to know that yet. But you did. And now the universe bends to your awareness. And that's the part they can't process, isn't it? The idea that knowing became your rebellion, that curiosity, the very thing they tried to beat out of you, turned into your weapon. You weren't supposed to pierce the veil, and yet here you are, walking through it like smoke. They wanted you afraid of what hides in the dark, but you became the dark. You learned its language. You wear it now, calmly, elegantly, like armor. You don't run from the unknown anymore. You listen to it, because you understand the secret no one's allowed to say out loud. The forbidden isn't dangerous, it's liberating. So let them lock their files, erase their traces, rewrite their scripts. None of it matters. Because once awareness awakens, it spreads, quietly, invisibly, like light leaking through cracks in the foundation. And you are that crack. The system calls it a breach, but the universe calls it evolution. You weren't supposed to know that yet. But you did. And now, nothing will ever be hidden from you again. There you are again, the quiet one the room keeps underestimating. You feel that, the way the air changes when you walk in now. That tiny shiver in their eyes when they look at you and can't quite recognize what you've become. They don't know it yet, but today was the day the experiment finished. Today was the day the masks slipped, not yours. Theirs, because you wore the victim mask so clean, so flawlessly, that every hidden predator in your orbit stepped out of the shadows thinking it was safe to feed. And they feasted, didn't they? They chewed on your kindness. They drank your apologies. They sharpened their fangs on your silence. Every time you swallowed your pain, they heard a dinner bell. Every time you forgave what you should have walked away from, they heard a green light. Every time you said, "It's okay, I understand," they heard, "I will never leave, no matter what you do." But here's the twist that's making them nauseous right now. You weren't the prey, you were the bait. You played broken so perfectly that the real psychos, the real cowards, the real predators showed themselves. No more pretending. No more masks of good person, caring friend, loving family. Your weakness was the stage where their true character delivered the performance of a lifetime. You didn't just survive them. You archived them. You collected faces, patterns, reactions, the way they smirked when you were on your knees, the way they got excited when you were confused, the way their eyes lit up every time they thought you had no one, nothing, nowhere else to go. That's the data you were gathering, their darkness, their hunger, their lack. You know what that makes you. Not a victim, a study. You turned your life into a psychological thriller they didn't know they were starring in. And while they thought you were the helpless extra, you were actually the writer, the director, and the final editor of the script. They thought the story was helpless little you, surrounded by powerful them. But the real story was fools exposing themselves under controlled conditions while a quiet god of pattern recognition records everything. You understand the power of what you did. You wore that victim mask with the precision of a surgeon and the cold patience of a saint turned psychopath. You played innocent, confused, lost, just long enough for the truth to step into the open without its makeup on. And today they showed you exactly who they are when they think you can't fight back. Good, perfect, necessary, because now you finally have the footage, the raw, unfiltered proof of their souls. Let's rewind it, shall we? Who laughed when you cried? Who got strangely calm when you panicked? Who went missing every time you needed help, but magically reappeared when you had something to offer? Who dismissed your pain as dramatic, sensitive, overreacting, and then turned into a full-blown opera the moment you pulled away? These aren't random moments. These are fingerprints. You think it's an accident that the same type of people kept orbiting you? No. You were a beacon, a test, a mirror that predators couldn't resist. You looked like easy prey, so the hunters lined up to see who could carve the deepest. But here's the paradox that's going to haunt them. They thought your pain made you weaker. In reality, your pain made you omniscient. You know what it's like to be abandoned, so you can see abandonment before it arrives. You know what it's like to be betrayed, so you can smell betrayal in a casual sentence. You know what it's like to be used, so you can feel selfish energy before they even ask for anything. You are not paranoid. You are updated. They are still running on the old operating system. If someone is kind, exploit them. If someone is forgiving, drain them. If someone is loyal, cage them. That's their code. That's their programming. They are predictable. But you are something else now. You're that paradox they warn children about in fairy tales. Half halo, half blade, half prayer, half curse. You're the one who knows how to bleed and still grin. You didn't just get hurt. You evolved. Tell me, what's more dangerous than a person who's been destroyed emotionally and is still here, still standing, still thinking? Nothing. Nothing is more dangerous than a soul that has seen hell and realized, wait, I lived through that. So what exactly can you do to me now? You are the chapel they vandalized for sport. You are the cathedral rising from the ashes with reinforced walls and hidden trapdoors. You used to be the light begging the dark not to swallow it. Now you are the dark. With lighthouse eyes. They thought they were feeding on a victim. They didn't realize they were revealing themselves to an archivist of human behavior. Every insult, logged. Every ghosting, logged. Every fake apology, every little manipulation, every time they twisted your words and made you apologize for bleeding on the knife they gave you. Logged, tagged, filed. You turned your heartbreak into a database. You turned your trauma into an X-ray machine. And now, when someone walks into your life, you don't just see their smile. You see their tells, their micro-reactions, the little moments where the mask glitches, the second their eyes flicker with entitlement, laziness, cruelty, jealousy. That's not trauma, that's vision. They will call you cold now. They will call you different, distant, changed, harsher than before. Of course you're different. You died in there. They buried a version of you they will never see again. You didn't get colder. You got clearer. Before, your love was unconditional. Now your love is audited. Before, anyone could access your kindness. Now entry requires a full security check. Before, you loved people more than you loved your own sanity. Now, you love your peace more than you love their presence. That's the evolution they never planned for. They thought breaking you would make you crawl. Instead, it gave you wings made of scar tissue. Beautiful, isn't it? How they did everything in their power to destroy you. And the only thing they successfully destroyed was your ability to tolerate bullshit. You wore the victim mask and they showed their fangs. You stayed weak, and they revealed their addictions, control, attention, dominance. They were never strong. They were just feeding off someone who wouldn't bite back. Now you're not biting back. You're leveling up. You don't need revenge. You're beyond that. Revenge is small. Revenge still cares. You're operating on a colder frequency now. Consequence. You don't scream. You don't expose. You don't send paragraphs. You don't beg them to understand what they did. You simply vanish from their feeding ground and let them starve on their own reflection. That's when the panic hits them, because what is a predator with no prey? Just a clown in a costume, pacing in an empty circus. They thought you needed them. They needed you. They needed your softness to feel powerful. They needed your empathy to feel superior. They needed your self-doubt to feel like gods. Without you, they're just loud, loud and hollow. Let the silence work now. Let the distance speak the language you're too bored to translate out loud. They'll talk. Oh, they will. They'll rewrite the story. You changed. You're heartless now. You used to be so kind. You're acting like a victim. My God, what happened to you? Here's the answer they'll never be ready for. You happened to you. You finally picked yourself. You finally believed your own intuition over their gaslighting. You finally realized that the victim costume was never your real face. It was the cloak you wore while you mapped the labyrinth. They thought they were the wolves, and you were the lamb. No, you were the shepherd, pretending to be asleep, counting which wolves kept creeping closer to the fence. You want to know the sweetest part? They didn't expose you. You exposed them. Every ignoring of your calls, every joke at your expense, every "you're too sensitive," every "it's not that deep," every eye roll, every guilt trip, every guilt flip where they hurt you and somehow you ended up apologizing. Those weren't random. Those were confessions. They confessed who they really are again and again, in plain sight. You just had too much heart to believe the evidence. Not anymore. Now you sit in the courtroom of your mind with the entire case laid out in front of you. No more excuses, no more fantasies about who they could be if they just tried harder or healed more. No more potential. Potential never put your heart back together. Potential never stayed up for you. Potential never chose you over their ego. You loved their potential while they toyed with your reality. Today, the jury came back. Verdict: you were never crazy. You were just early. You saw the red flags and tried to paint them white. They saw your white flag and used it as a napkin. Not anymore. Now you walk differently. You listen for the hidden meaning. You don't melt just because someone calls you different, special, the only one who gets me. You've heard that before, remember? You've watched them recycle those lines on multiple people like a script. You're not impressed by chaos disguised as passion. You're not attracted to damage disguised as depth. You're not hypnotized by hot and cold disguised as complicated. You've seen the pattern. You've seen the cycle. You've been the collateral damage. Never again. Here's the part you need to burn into your brain. You are not too much. You were just surrounded by people who were too little. Too little empathy. Too little accountability. Too little honesty. Too little capacity to handle someone like you. Someone who feels deeply, questions everything, and doesn't stay broken in the shape they're beaten into. You are not hard to love. They were lazy to grow, and today they finally proved it. They showed you how far they'll go when they think you're still helpless. They showed you the depths of their disrespect. They showed you how disposable they consider you. Good. Let that sting. Let it hurt. Because that pain, that's the crack where the old self leaks out. Every time your chest tightens when you remember what they said, something toxic leaves your system. Every time your stomach drops when you replay how they treated you, another illusion dies. Every time your eyes burn thinking of your loyalty wasted on people who saw you as a toy, another old identity crumbles. That's not you breaking. That's you molting. Saint and psychopath live in the same mind now. Angel and demon sit at the same table. You can choose who walks out. You can love like a saint when it's safe. You can protect like a demon when it's not. You can be soft without being stupid. You can be forgiving without being accessible. You can be kind without being consumed. That's the new game. Unpredictability is your power now. They used to know exactly how you'd react. You'd cry, you'd forgive, you'd stay. You'd internalize the blame. You'd chase, explain, over-explain, over-apologize. Not anymore. Now they press the same buttons and nothing happens. Silent, calm, blank screen. You don't argue. You don't justify. You don't outline a dissertation on why what they did was wrong. You just stop playing. No tantrums, no drama. Just a quiet exit that echoes louder than any scream. That's the part that terrifies predators. When the victim stops reacting. Because their power was never real power. Their power was rented from your reactions. You just shut the electricity off. So what happens next? You evolve into something they never prepared for. A being that remembers everything, but is no longer shackled by it. A presence that can look you in the eye and see your core, your patterns, your shadows, and decide in 3 seconds whether you get access or not. You become the gatekeeper of your own life, not the sacrifice, not the scapegoat, not the emotional landfill, the architect, the curator, the one who decides who gets a front row seat and who gets blocked at the door. You decide. They may still talk. Let them invent stories to explain why you pulled back. Let them call you bitter because you set boundaries. Let them call you selfish because you finally stopped bleeding for them. Let them call you crazy because you refuse to keep playing the same losing game. Only you and the universe know the truth. You wore the victim mask so perfectly that every predator exposed themselves in HD. Now you're done acting. Now the mask is off. Now the real character steps onto the stage. The one with eyes that have seen hell and decided to stay beautiful anyway. The one whose love is rarer, sharper, more intentional. The one who understands both light and dark. Because you bled in both. You are not the villain. You are not the victim. You are not the supporting role in their little saga. You are the plot twist. The moment the audience realizes everything they thought they knew was wrong. They thought you were breakable. You were becoming unbreakable. They thought they were hunting you. You were documenting them. They thought they used you. You used the experience to mutate into something they can't even describe. So sit with that power for a second. You, sitting there, heart still beating, mind sharper than ever, eyes colder but clearer, spirit quieter but deeper. You're not who walked into this story. You're who crawled out of it. And from this moment forward, every room you step into, every person you entertain, every energy you allow, understands one thing, whether they realize it consciously or not. You are not the easiest person to hurt anymore. You are the last person they should have hurt. They showed their nature. You found your own. They proved they are predators. You discovered you are evolution. Remember that the next time your chest hurts. Remember that the next time you miss their mask. Remember that every time you're tempted to shrink so someone else can feel big. You didn't go through all of that to return to your knees. Stand up, inside first. Let them feel the shift without a single word from your mouth. Because now, the game is simple. They can keep their teeth. You'll keep your throne. And here's where it seals shut. Right here. Right now. Because the most dangerous part of your transformation isn't the anger. It isn't the clarity. It isn't even the way you can now see through people like cheap glass. It's the calm, that eerie, settled calm that shows up when someone who used to control your emotions suddenly realizes they can't reach you anymore. The calm that makes predators uneasy because they don't know if you've forgiven them or if you've simply outgrown the need to react. You're not loud about it. You don't announce it. You don't post cryptic messages or give warning speeches. You just stop responding the way you used to. And that's silence. That's not emptiness. That's dominance. Because silence after knowledge is never weakness. Silence after awareness is calculation. You see, the old version of you needed closure, explanations, apologies, accountability. The old you wanted people to admit what they did so you could finally exhale. But this version understands something terrifyingly simple. People reveal themselves whether they confess or not. Their actions already testified. Their patterns already spoke. Their treatment of you already told the truth, louder than any apology ever could. So you don't chase closure anymore. You are the closure. You don't ask for respect. You withdraw access. You don't beg for honesty. You observe behavior. You don't fight to be understood. You choose to be selective. And suddenly, the power dynamic flips. The same people who once felt comfortable hurting you now feel strangely unsettled around you. They can't quite explain it, but something about you feels off. Not broken, not angry, untouchable. They sense that they no longer live rent-free in your head. They feel that their words don't land the same. They notice you don't flinch, don't over-explain, don't scramble to fix the discomfort they created. And that's when it hits them. They didn't lose you when they hurt you. They lost you when you understood them. Understanding is the point of no return, because once you truly understand someone's nature, you can never unsee it. You can pretend, you can be polite, you can be civil, but you can never again be vulnerable in the same blind way. And that's not bitterness, that's wisdom earned in blood. You didn't become heartless, you became heart-literate. You know what genuine care feels like now, because you've experienced its counterfeit. You know what safety feels like now, because you survived emotional warfare. You know what love is supposed to sound like, because you've heard manipulation whisper sweet lies. And from this moment on, your standards aren't rules. They're instincts. Your intuition doesn't scream anymore. It doesn't have to. It whispers, and you listen. That's how you know you've crossed the threshold. You no longer fantasize about revenge scenes where they finally get it. You no longer rehearse conversations that will never happen. You no longer hope they'll wake up and change. You accept them exactly as they are, and then you move accordingly. That's power in its purest form. The kind of power that doesn't need validation. The kind of power that doesn't need witnesses. The kind of power that doesn't need to destroy anyone, because it simply refuses to be available for destruction. They'll feel it later. Not today. Later. When they try the same tactics on someone else, and it doesn't work the way it used to. When they realize you were the one thing making them feel powerful. when they notice the rooms feel emptier without your energy feeding their ego, when they catch themselves thinking about you at random moments, not with nostalgia, but confusion. How did I lose access to someone like that? They won't ask it out loud. They'll just feel it in the pit of their stomach. Meanwhile, you're elsewhere, building, observing, selecting carefully. No rush, no hunger, no need to prove anything. You've already proven it to yourself. You survived being misunderstood. You survived being minimized. You survived being used as a resource instead of cherished as a soul. And instead of letting it turn you cruel, it turned you precise. You still have warmth, but it's intentional now. You still have love, but it's guarded now. You still have depth, but not everyone gets to swim there. You learned the lesson most people never do. Not everyone who smiles is safe. Not everyone who cries is sincere. Not everyone who needs you deserves you. And the most dangerous predators, they don't look like monsters. They look like friends. They sound like lovers. They wear familiarity as camouflage. You saw through that. That alone puts you in a different category of human being. So don't ever apologize for who you became to survive what they put you through. Don't ever water yourself down so people who never protected you can feel comfortable again. You didn't lose your innocence. You upgraded your awareness. You didn't become cold. You became selective. You didn't harden your heart. You armored it with truth. You wore the victim mask long enough for the real threats to reveal themselves. That chapter is done. From here on out, you don't announce your strength. You don't flex your growth. You don't warn anyone. You simply move different. And anyone who mistakes your silence for weakness again, they'll never get close enough to try. Because now, you don't just survive predators. You outgrow them. And that's the ending they never saw coming.